My scripture reading is taken from 1 Corinthians 13th chapter, first through the third verse. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and have not charity, I am become as sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains and not have charity, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned and have not charity, it profit me nothing. And thus is the scripture reading, 1 Corinthians 13th chapter, the first through the third verse. Again, I say unto you, good morning. This is Paul speaking to the church. And what Paul is saying, that even though we have all of these gifts and we are able to do all things, but if we have not charity, it profits us nothing. Now, Paul is speaking in terms of charity in the Christian thought, which means charity represents the highest form of love. If we have not love, all that we do profits us nothing. We can say that I love my children, I love my wife and my husband, my significant others, I love my family. But Paul is saying, as Christ said and taught, we have to transcend, exceed the boundaries of that inner circle. Jesus said, pray for those that persecute and misuse you. Jesus said, love thy brother man. Paul speaking to the church, saying that the gifts, we might feed the poor, we might prophesy, we might do healing, we might have the faith to remove mountains, but if we have not love, we have nothing. And so as we come together of one mind on the spiritual path, we have to transcend the boundaries, get out of the comfort zone, and be able to look at every man, woman, and child, as they say, one accord, one mind. We're all children of God. We like to say and think that how can I love someone who has misused and abused me, said all manner of negative and bad things about me, did all that they could do to pull me down, to cause me pain and suffering? How can I love such a person? Well, according to the scripture and according to the teachings of the master teacher, love suffers all of these things. Love suffers pain. Love suffers disappointment. Love suffers hurt. We have to lift up ourselves in consciousness and in that spirit as the Christ demonstrated, and so many of those that have come after him, and to walk in the spirit of understanding and in that consciousness of loving our fellow man. We cannot look upon the world or look upon the human existence and say to ourselves that whatever is going on, I am not a part of that. As long as it has not touched my doorstep, I have no concern. That's the human way of thinking. That's the human way of living. What would you think and feel that if God spoke to you and said, I cannot come to your assistance, I cannot give you the help that you're asking because you have denied me in the body and the embodiment of someone else? You might say, well, I went to church and I paid my tithe. There was someone that was in need of food and I fed them. But you know, we come along and we come out of an environment of traditions. We attend churches, and although we're not being fed, and we say it is where my grandmother attended, it is where my mother attended. It's been a tradition for us to attend. It's been a tradition for us to belong. It's been a tradition for us to do. But it has not been a tradition for you to love. It has not been a tradition for you to love. We think and feel, and we've been taught and indoctrinated that the ones that we love are those that are within our household. We must rise above the consciousness and the worldly thinking. And we must understand that we must love those, not only those that are of our household, but those that are of our consciousness. Those that are of our consciousness. There is but one consciousness, and we are all one of that one consciousness. And when we can internalize that we are all one of that one consciousness, then it behooves us to love all that there is. We're all one family. You know, the saying is that God manifests in many different shapes, sizes, and forms. But there's only one Spirit. There is only one Spirit. We are individualized units of that one Spirit, that one consciousness. And how can we say that we are children of God and we cannot love our fellow man? How can we stand and preach and teach? How can we go forth laying on of hands, prophesizing, and not having love within our hearts? The greatest of all that a man can possess or have within him is the love of God. And when we have the love of God within us and we demonstrate that love of God within us, we are a blessing to all of life, and all of life is a blessing to us. When we go into our inner selves in deep meditation, what is it that you meditate on? What is it that you're asking in your meditation? What is it that you're visualizing and seeing in your meditation? Are you asking in communion with God to open wide the doors of your heart and let the love that is within flow out to every man, woman, and child? We look out at the world, we think that the world is in need of so much. The only thing that the world is in need of is love. Is love. Love is that energy and vibration, that understanding and that blessing that will bring all things into fruition. It will feed the hungry. It will heal the sick. It will uplift those that are weak and not able to stand on their own. It will open wide the doors of opportunities for the poor. But if we have not love, what contribution can we make to the children of God? We upon this spiritual path that have been upon this path for an extended period of time should be in a state of consciousness where we know that all things that we have need of is being provided. And if we know this within our consciousness, and if we have witnessed the manifestation of this good, we have something within us to feed those that are seeking the truth, that are seeking light, that are seeking understanding. That which we have within us is not only for us, but it is for to be shared. Isn't this the teaching of all the great enlightened souls? Had not those enlightened souls came and shared with us, where would we be? Still in darkness. And we that have a measure of light, the light of understanding, it becomes our responsibility to take this light and to go into the consciousness of someone that is in darkness and share the light of divine wisdom and understanding. There is no need for the world to walk in darkness when the light is all around them. Open your inner eye, open wide the doors of your heart, and let that which is within you, the truth, the very essence of your being, let it flow out. I want to share something with you, and I'm going through some things right now. I want to just touch upon something very personal. And I want you all to know and understand that just because you're on a spiritual path and you're doing all that you can do, that there will not come trials and tribulations, because they will, to test you. Many years ago, when my mother took sick, she had to be put in a senior citizens home. And so I was called by one of my relatives, not my sibling, but one of my relatives, and said, come down because your mother needs to be put in a senior citizen home and no one has the money. I went home, spoke to all of my siblings. I asked them for some help. Can you contribute something to putting your mother in a senior citizen home? They all cried broke. This is your mother that needs a place to live, and you can't do anything to help your mother? Now, mind you, some of my relatives were in the church. Mind you, some of my relatives was in the church. So I didn't have enough money at that time, but I gave my uncle what I had, and I said, I'm going back home and get some more money, and I'll be back. And that's a round trip from Richmond to Washington, and from Washington back to Richmond. So I gave him the money so that he could get the place for my mother, and so it happened. And I was glad. A few years back, I got a call from one of my siblings that said that my brother's wife had made her transition, and they was asking for money to bury her. And I said to my sibling, I said, when I came to you all and asked for money to put your mother, your living mother, and a place to live, you all cried broke. But you all got money or have money to give to another sibling to bury his wife. What's more important, a dead body or a live one? Sometimes we don't know where we should invest our good. And I share that with you because as spiritual beings, you have to know and understand that the most important thing in life is life, not a dead body. Do all that you can do for those that are in the living while they are in the living. For there's nothing that we can do or can be done for a body that has already deceased. We can put them in a beautiful casket and send a lot of beautiful flowers, but what good will it do for that soul? Let your good be done. And I'm not saying that when there is a situation where you have to put away a loved one, do what you have to do. But first and foremost, remember those that are in the living. There was a story in the Bible wherein the young man was following Jesus and he said, Master, I want to follow you, but first let me go and bury my father. And Jesus said, go. Let the dead bury the dead. He who is not ready to follow me and puts more emphasis on the dead, he is not worthy or ready to follow me. Do all the good that you can do for those that are in the physical, those that are in the living. And if I can say, your rewards will be great. As Paul said, if I have all these gifts to move mountains, to prophesy, to heal, to speak with the tongues of men and angels, and understand all the mysteries of life. But if I have not love, I am nothing. If we have not love within us that extends far beyond the inner circle, the family circle, the household, we have nothing. We're doing nothing but living for ourselves and having the fear that if I extend myself outside of these perimeters, I am going to lose. I'm going to be at loss. But we don't understand the I am within us. The I am is everywhere present, omnipresent is the consciousness of I am in you and me. When we understand that the I am in you and me is the consciousness and the manifestation of God, what is there to fear? What is there to be concerned about? There's no need to worry. For the I am in you and the I am in me provides all things. We did not come into this incarnation to be nothing. We came into this incarnation with something, and with that something that we are to do something. And that something is to be a blessing, to be an upliftment to all of humanity. God bless you, and I thank you.